Castleford in Yorkshire, and the cars draw up for the installation ceremony of the new mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Worship the Mayor.
And His Worship is a lady. Mrs. Bertha Ward has reached the office of mayor in her borough through years of tireless service. As a magistrate, she has sat beneath Castleford's Roman crest. During her 12 years on the council, Bertha Ward has worked especially towards the maintenance and improvement of local hospital services. She has now become Castleford's 12th mayor and the first woman to hold the office. Castleford stands on two rivers, the Aire and the Calder. Over the past years, much of the older building in the town has given way to new construction. For Castleford's 40,000 inhabitants, the signals for civic improvement are set to go. New housing backs up the growth of Castleford's main industries. They range from confectionery making to glass production. Clothing manufacture is big in the town. And in the shadow of the big new power stations, young Castleford knows how to enjoy itself. The inland waterways carry barges of coal for electricity down to the Humber ports. For Castleford is in the centre of the Yorkshire coalfield. And at Glasshoughton Colliery, where he has worked for 26 years on the face, Mrs. Ward's husband, Len, gives his views on the honour that has fallen to his wife.
Well, I don't think I'm not going to realise it so much. You know, we've been too busy.
Never afraid of hard work, Bertha Ward, as a woman, has the last word.
As the mayor of the borough, I must still, and I intend this seriously, discharge my duties in my home as a wife and a mother. I have no intention whatever of abdicating these responsibilities. Thank you all for coming this morning. Thank you for electing me to this office.
Some pastimes demand concentration. For Derek Colby, captain of the Coal Board's headquarters chess team, and for his teammates, amongst them John Taylor, once champion of the Northern Counties, concentration led this year to victory in the London Commercial Chess League after a play-off against the Port of London Authority. Chess may seem to the onlooker a slow game, but it isn't always. Celebrating their victory in the league, the Coal Board team invited some of their opponents to a friendly evening at lightning chess, with the buzzer going every 10 seconds. It's thirsty work, even for veterans like Betty Howlett, the league's lady champion. Something like 5,000 moves later, the boards were empty, and the champions went home. Walbottle near Newcastle, and in Whitehall Road, the postman drops a delivery at number 13. George Howard is a retired mine worker who's one of many enjoying a new and more convenient way of collecting his retirement pension. Once a month, George receives a punched and printed form which looks as if it came out of a computer. It did, from the Coal Board's computer centre at Newcastle. Here, punched cards are prepared for every pensioner in the Northumberland and Durham group of the Mine Workers' Pension Scheme. The cards bear all the necessary information, and at the computer centre, they are checked before being sorted and processed. So George Howard's card arrives home. And to George, the card is as good as money. With Mrs. Howard, George sets out on a shopping expedition. Their local cooperative store is also the Howard's Bank. Here, through an arrangement between the coal board and the co-op, the pension cards can be turned into goods or cash. While Mrs. Howard gets on with selecting the groceries, George collects at the cash desk. For many retired folk like the Howards, the link-up between computer and co-op is a convenient way of collecting. It saves the old-style visit to the colliery offices, often quite away from home. And there are over 600 co-op branches which take part in the scheme. Computers plus local initiative equals a load off the backs of many of our old folk. The mighty Cathedral of Lincoln stands guard over the city and looks out across the waterways that reach into the fens and over the rich pasture lands of the Trent Valley. Along the banks of the Trent, a complex of new power stations is rising. This is West Burton. Capacity, 2 million kilowatts. Two elements go into the making of electricity, water and coal. The Midlands have both in abundance. And the vital connecting link between the mines and the river-based generating stations is British Rail. Coal and rail and electricity have jointly developed the system of merry-go-round trains, continuously coupled units which run non-stop on a circular route from pit to power station and back again. Loaded on the move, each train carries 1,000 tons of coal, and West Burton will need 112 trains like this one every week. At the power station, the wagons are weighed on the move. The locomotive driver sets his speed indicator, and from now on, automatic control takes over. As the train passes over the unloading hoppers at precisely a half a mile an hour, the coal is released from 6 wagons at a time. As the train passes out of the hopper shed, the bottom doors on the wagons are closed, again automatically. No shunting, no sidings, no coupling and uncoupling of wagons. At West Burton, they stockpile coal against future demand. They'll burn 18,000 tons of coal a day at full load, 5 million tons a year, and once the heat is on, there'll be no question of running short. Long belts carry the coal into the crushers and pulverizing mills. Then on into the 200-foot-high boilers to raise 3.5 million pounds of steam an hour and pass through the turbines which drive the generators. The cooling towers condense the steam back into water. The nearby River Trent makes up the quantity lost. From this vast power warehouse, electricity passes on out to the grid and to you and I, the customers. Today's power station gets as much power from 2 tons of coal as a 20-year-old station got from 3. And 1 ton in every 10 mined in Britain goes to the Midlands power stations. Back on the merry-go-round circuit, another train pulls out to fetch another 1,000-ton load.